back to the dream, the journey, and the promise with me. And in the today, I want to share with you a pivotal part of my journey, which I believe sparked one of the biggest changes in my life, at least in the past 10 years. So, just to give you a bit of background, I grew up in Kenya. I was one of five children, and there was two boys. The first two were boys, and then three girls, and I was the middle of the three girls, right? So, what I remember is that I was always kind of lost in the mix of things, because it was the two boys, and then it was always either the elder sister or the baby of the house. And I was like the middle of the middle child, right? So I think I developed that kind of a syndrome early. But anyway, I grew up pretty, um, I guess I didn't need much attention, right? Because there wasn't much for me, and I did what I knew I had to. So I really, it ended up working out for my good. I excelled in school because I just knew, when I came home, did my homework, did what I needed to do, because no one was going to pay attention to what I was doing. There was either always the baby or the first two that needed attention because they were older, had things going on with sports, or if anything had to be done, it was the elder sister. So I just knew that I had to take care of what I needed to take care of, right? And like I said, to some extent, it worked out for my good. So I would come home from school and I would finish my homework. I would put my books away. I would prepare my clothes for the following day. I would be in bed on time, have my clothes ready, have everything ready, and then my books were always neat. So I just took care of myself and I excelled in my studies. I was always, one of the top five, maybe top 10 in my class. But I ended up like because of that, I did get praise from my parents, my dad especially, for doing good in school and for doing what I had to do. Like I didn't need much attention. They didn't need to baby me or parent me too much, right? So I did what I had to do. And I ended up seeing myself as a good child because I remember my brother, the second oldest brother, always needed attention. He was always getting in trouble at school, always doing things that he didn't need to do. And then my youngest sister was the baby, so she was always needing attention, right? And my older sister, she was just kind of like the second mom of the household. But anyway, I ended up viewing myself as a good child. And so I grew up, I, I was always called, hey, Anna's always the one doing good. She does good in school. She takes care of what she has to take care of. She's always neat. I was always one of the leaders in school. And so when I graduated from high school, I ended up getting into this relationship that probably wasn't good for me, right? I know it wasn't good for me now looking back. But at the time, I didn't know any better. So I got into a relationship, ended up making some bad choices. But it's funny how, in my eyes, I still viewed myself as a good girl, and I think this is part of human nature. It's like when we make mistakes, we make excuses for ourselves and judge ourselves by our intentions. But when other people make mistakes, we just judge them by their actions. So essentially, the things I did, I would have considered pretty bad if someone else had done them. But I always thought, well, I'm good. I have good intentions. I didn't really mean to do this. So again, I always viewed myself as just being good. And it ended up seeping through into my relationship, and I was unaware of it. I didn't even think much of it, right? So when I got married, I was about 20, 24, 25 when I got married. And I still would see myself as this good girl, even though I had made some pretty bad choices, after graduating high school and up until that point, I still saw myself as a good girl. And and in the relationship, I remember whenever we argued, there would always be the issue that came up that, well, not everyone is as perfect as you, because I just viewed myself as not having flaws and just a good person, good intentions. No matter what I did, I just saw what my intentions were. And so, anyway, I remember after this is just recently, so several years had gone by and I had gone through my divorce. And for some reason, one day I was just sitting, I was in silence and I was sitting, and somehow in my head, everything that I had gone through since I graduated and up until that point, it just started replaying itself in my mind. So as I was replaying this, I wasn't even thinking much of it, and now I strongly feel that that was God bringing it up to me, because as I was going through it, I replayed everything that had happened and all the choices I had made, which had led me to where I was. And then all of a sudden I thought, wow, if someone told me about that girl, she sounds like a really bad girl. And that was the first time that it hit me. And I thought, I'm not as good as I think I am in my mind. Like, I had excused so many things that I had done for myself. And again, just going off of, I know my intentions, I didn't mean to do this, but they were bad decisions nonetheless. So after hearing that in my mind, like just replaying scenario after scenario for the past several years, I just thought in my head, if someone was telling me that story, I definitely would have judged that person and called them a bad person. So it immediately clicked that, hey, Anna, you're not as good as you think you are. And that was like, it was almost like a weight lifted off of me for trying to portray this picture of being a good person. And at the same time, I felt sad. Um, I don't even know how to explain it, but I felt like I had deceived myself all this time thinking that I was this good person, but it was a story I had told myself in my head and refused to see the facts for what they were. And not that it's a bad thing. Of course, some of the choices I had made were terrible choices. I'm not going to deny that. But it's good to just be real about what our situations are, right? Because I had always seen myself as just a good person. Anybody else did something, I was quick to judge and quick to call them out on it. And like I had said, it had really seeped into my relationships, and I was always pointing out what people were doing wrong. And my husband at the time would always tell me, well, I'm sorry, but not everyone is as perfect as you are, being sarcastic, of course, but because I thought of myself as having no wrong or being the better person. And anyway, so once I got that realization, and it just clicked, like that just happened all in an instant. It was like it replayed in my mind so clearly, and then just brought to my attention, hey, you're not as good as you think you are. And like I said, it was freeing and sad at the same time. But the reason I say that this was probably one of the most pivotal moments in the recent past is because it just allowed me to be okay with falling short, you know? And as I say this, it reminds me of the uh, rich young ruler in the Bible. For those of you that are familiar with that story, this was a man who came to Jesus and said, hey, Jesus, so what does it take for a man to go to heaven? And Jesus told him what he needed. And Jesus was actually giving him the law because he knew no man was good enough to sustain the law, right? The law was actually given to us in order for us to see our shortcomings and realize our need for a savior. And this man, after Jesus told him what he needed to do, you know what he said? He said, well, I've done all those since my youth, since I was little, I've kept all those commands. Of course, that wasn't true. Nobody had been able to keep the commands. There's no way that we can, because we're human, right? With our sin nature, there's nobody that can except Jesus himself. But anyway, he said that he had kept all those. And Jesus knew his heart. He knew how he felt about his wealth and his possessions. And so Jesus asked him, it told him, well, if you've done all that, that's all fine and dandy, knowing full and well he hadn't done that. But he said, if you've done that, that's good. But how about then go sell all your possessions and come follow me? Knowing that the man wasn't willing to part with his possessions, he valued that more than he valued his relationship with God. And he wasn't really asking to know what he needed to do. He was trying to present himself as this good person. And that's actually what I felt like in my life after I looked back on this, is like, wow, I was acting like this good person. But the problem with us boasting in our goodness. No matter how good we are, we're still going to fall short, right? And we do need a savior. That's the whole reason Jesus died and came to the world, is to save us, because we all need a savior. Even the best of the best in the world would still fall short, and we need a savior. And so Jesus was trying to point that out to him. But also in my life, this is this is how I was I was I guess I was not realizing my need for the Savior. And so I was acting like I was good, and in so doing, like I didn't really need anything more because I was good in and of myself. And that's what I want to speak to you all today. I want you to realize that no matter how good we are, we're always going to fall short. And there is nobody that's so good that does not need a Savior. And this is why Jesus came, is so that we can be free of our actions, free from ourselves, just free to be who He's called us to be, right? Without judging ourselves and without judging others about their actions, because no matter how good we are, we're going to fall short. And as the sooner we come to that realization, the better, because it's only going to serve us well to realize that, hey, I'm going to need God in everything I do. I'm going to need Him. And He wants us to realize that, and He wants us to actually need Him for everything that we do, right? And this is how our lives become prosperous and our lives become fulfilled, is by just needing the Savior that God provided for us, knowing that we would fall short, that we couldn't keep His command. So, anyway, I want to encourage you with this. It's like, no matter how you feel about yourself, being being perceived as bad is actually not a bad thing, because that there's grace for that. That's the whole reason Jesus came. And He's not looking for us to be perfect, because we can't be perfect in and of ourselves. With our shortcomings and with all our wrongdoings, He's openly willing to receive us. His arms are wide open, waiting for us to just say, God, I need you. I need you in whatever it is you're going through, whatever your situation might be today, is just declare your need for Him, because that's why He's here. That's why He gave Himself up. Do we even stop to think how much of a sacrifice that was for Him to leave His high place in heaven and come to walk this lowly life, knowing who He was, just walk this lowly life with us so that He can be empathetic, He can feel what we feel, and still come through without sinning, so that He can be our sacrifice for us to be reconciled with the Father. So I just want you to know that our need for a Savior is a good thing. So our shortcomings and our faults, everything that is human about us, He's okay with that, and that's the reason He came for us. So I want to encourage you, don't be discouraged or burdened by your shortcomings. He already knows who you are. He knows who you are, and still chose to die for you, still chose you, even while you were yet a sinner. Even while you didn't care about Him, He still chose you. So I just want to encourage you to know your need for a Savior. Know that He loves you dearly. He's waiting for you to just declare your need for Him, and He's waiting with open arms. I hope that encourages you to keep going. It doesn't matter how far you've gone, how far you've fallen. It just takes one step to turn back, and He's ready and waiting. So I encourage you to do so. If you're going through something difficult, just declare your need for Him today. I hope this blesses you. Um, Remember to subscribe to my channel, like and share it if this encouraged you. And until next time, love fully, forgive freely, and make each moment count. God bless you.